I want to say a few words about this week's Parsha, Toldot, and this lesson is dedicated for the saving from captivity of Shvui Aza. Of course, this Parsha talks about the relationship between Yaakov and Esav, and the verse on which I'm going to concentrate on this Dvar Torah is when they're born. It says that Toamim, there are twins in her womb, literally. Twins in Rivka's womb. So my question is, first of all, is there any specific spelling of this word that's unusual? And whether this word is used anywhere else for something similar? Who else gave birth to twins in Sefer Bereshit? Does anybody remember? The answer is, of course, that Tamar, a few parshiot from now, the Torah will mention in Parshat VaYeshev that Tamar will give birth to twins. But the spelling in this particular Parsha, Tomim, is almost missing something. It looks as if it's missing something. In the second case, with Tamar, it's spelled with Aleph and also with Yud. Here, Tomim is spelled without the Yud and without the Aleph, a kind of two letters missing. So Rashi already in the name of Chazal mentions that the reason is because, as opposed to the sons of Tamar, both of her children were righteous. From one, David HaMelech was a descendant, and Melech HaMashiach will come from, the King Messiah will be from Tamar. And from another son also great people came out. In a way they're compared usually to sun and moon, Zerach and Peretz, the two sons of Tamar. There's a lot of discussed about it, and there are also Kabbalistic secrets, but at any rate, they were both wonderful people eventually, and that's why the Torah already hints in the word Toamim written in full, as opposed to the case of Rivka, only one of her sons will be righteous, so that's why it's Tomim without the normal letters, kind of short term. Now what's interesting is, one of the signs of zodiac, Gemini, is also two twins, right? That's what it means, twins. And indeed, in Jewish astrology, there is such a thing. One doesn't have to believe in astrology to see certain hints in astrological signs. What I'm trying to say is that astrology, as a kind of pseudoscience that predicts the future, that is not necessarily a true science. Probably most people, including most Orthodox Jews, certainly modern Orthodox Jews, do not believe in astrology as a science. That does not mean, though, that there are no hints in the sky to what is happening. So just like the days of the week, for instance, the 7 days have to do with something, and they are associated with planets, and it's well known that there is a common tradition. That's why the days of the week, Rashi explains in the Talmud and Tractate Shabbat, which day corresponds to what. Sunday, for instance, has to do with sun, a certain hour of Sunday, the beginning of the day. I'm not going to go into this right now. Monday, moon. There's a reason why the weekdays have to do with this. That's why, by the way, the week is 7 days, not only by Jews. It's not only Jews or religions that came from Jews have a 7-day week. There are a number of other people, including the ancient Romans, who divided the week into 7 days. So to the months, the 12 months, the idea of 12 months, of course, is both in Judaism and in many other cultures. And the idea of the 12 signs of zodiac exists by us as well, except there is a small difference, and that is by us it goes by the month, the lunar month. So that's why it shifts all the time. As far as I understand, in Western astrology, the month here is always, meaning that the sign of zodiac is always from a certain day of the month to a certain day of the month, of solar months, 20-something till 20-something or something like that. It doesn't, by the way, correspond to physical astrological signs. It's only a theoretical division into 12 more or less equal parts. But by Jews, the months correspond to the Jewish months. So that's why it's not always on the same time of the solar year, but it's pretty close, because our calendar, of course, sticks to more or less the average 12-month year, with some years being 13 months, to account for the fact that 12 lunar months make less days than the full solar year. So that's why, on average, the signs correspond. For example, I was born in twins. I was born on 29th of Sivan, so Sivan corresponds to twins, the third month of the year. And by non-Jewish calculation, by Western astrology, I would also be considered twins, the 19th of June. But there are some exclusions. There could be a situation where a person's astrological sign, according to the Hebrew calendar, would not be the same. Whatever the case may be, what I'm trying to say is that while astrology might not be a science per se in terms of predicting the future, that doesn't mean there aren't hints in terms of the months, whatever they correspond, just like the days of the week, that there may be certain ideas that could be true. By the way, the dynasty of David, who came from Tamar, from the other twins, right, from Peretz, the son of Tamar. So his dynasty is considered to be 14 generations, right? David was 14th from Avram, and that's why his gematria of his name is David is 14. And that's why, just like the moon, on the 14th day, almost reaches the maximal part of the moon that we can see, the shining part of the moon. And on the 15th already, it reaches the maximum, but it also by the end of the day starts decreasing. The part of the moon that we see that's shining on the 15th day, it's already past, by the end of the 15th day, it's past the middle of the lunar month. So that's why Shlomo HaMelech, who was the 15th in the generations, in his time already, the greatness of Jewish people was reached, but also it started going down already. And then for another 15 generations, and then in the generation of Tzidkiyahu, the temple was destroyed. And of course, we say whenever there is a new moon, we say that Hashem should michadesh. We're going to say we soon have Rosh Chodesh, by the way. The next Rosh Chodesh of Kislev is going to be on this Tuesday. So we say, let Hashem michadesh our people, just like He renews the moon, He'll renew our people. There's going to be Mashiach one day who comes from David. The Jewish people are the only nation that not only had its greatness and its fall, had another greatness, another fall, another greatness. That's how it is. A lot of nations had their greatness, and since then they're not particularly well known. Nobody today talks about the achievements of the Greeks or the Assyrians or the Babylonians or various other. Spain used to be very important. England used to own most of the world. So each time there's a nation that rises and goes down. Like Mark Twain already noticed, the Jewish people are the only one that renews back, comes back. So that's the idea of the moon. But anyway, so that's the Tomim that will be mentioned later, and in case of Tamar. But in the case of Rivka, as Rashi points out in the name of Chazal, the twins were not equal, and only one of them was righteous, and that's why it's not spelled fully. But in terms of the twins that correspond to the third month of ours, Sivan, it's interesting that the Torah was given on Sivan, and in a sense, Torah is also like twins. The written Torah and the oral Torah. There is a lot of discussion on Shir HaShirim. There's a couple of places where the Song of Songs, the woman there that personifies the Jewish nation, it says that she has beautiful breasts. So one of the explanations is it's connected the two tablets, what Moshe brought, the two stone luchot. And another explanation is it's connected written in oral Torah, that the Jewish nation is kind of just like breasts give milk. Right? It gives the Torah. By the way, Torah is compared to milk a lot of times. So that's the Tomim, the double. What happens with on the month of Sivan when we celebrate the day when Torah was given, when the Jewish people heard the 10 Aseret HaDvarim, 10 sayings, commandments is not really the way we translate it. The non-Jews will usually call it 10 commandments. It's not really 10 commandments. It's 10 statements, 10 sentences. It's not really 10 commandments. There's more than 10 commandments there. Shabbat alone has a number of commandments. Another interesting idea that it says actually in this pasuk, Shnei Goyim, this is one of the few cases where it's written one way but read a little bit differently. Goyim is written as if it's Yud Yud and pronounced as if it's Vav Yud. Goyim, Giyim. So in Torah Tmima it says that in a certain sense it hints to not only the two nations that will come out from Rivka, but also two great people in a sense, two leaders. Of course, Chazal darshaned that Antoninus, one of the emperors of Rome, was the great descendant of Esav. Chazal apparently saw Romans as at least spiritual inheritors of Esav. Maybe there were some descendants of Esav who ended up in Rome at a certain point, and maybe even physically some of the aristocracy from Rome may have come from Esav. And on the other side, Rebbe, who was his friend, there were actually two friends, a Jew and a Roman. Rebbe, who was the author of the Mishnah, rather he didn't really write the Mishnah ex nihilo, he compiled the Mishnah based on earlier traditions. So Rabbi Yehuda Nasi and Antoninus, Chazal say, is hinted in this verse. Right? Even though Esav did not come out necessarily a good person, but from him also great people came out, including people who converted to Judaism. There is, by the way, a discussion in various places that maybe even Antoninus either partially or fully accepted Judaism. There's a possibility that he became a convert, probably a secret convert, if so. There's really a lot of questions about which Antoninus, by the way, our sages meant, and whether various stories are about different people named Antoninus. You see, there were a number of emperors in Rome who had many names, including Antoninus. So one of the candidates here is Marcus Aurelius Antoninus. That's just one possibility, but there are other Antoninuses before and after. So which Antoninus exactly was the friend of Rebbe, and who was it? Or maybe some of the Agadas are about various people, different people. Whatever the case may be, at least one of them apparently had very good feelings to the Jews, and that's, by the way, helped that the Mishnah that Rebbe composed, it was a very productive period of time. The Jews were practically not discriminated. Most of the time, the Romans constantly destroyed the Jewish people and killed them. But this was a time when the Jewish people had a good relationship with the Roman government. So whatever the case may be, as you see, this lesson kind of included all kinds of different concepts that are related to each other. And as the whole Torah always is, it's very hard to really talk about one topic without digressing to many different topics. And on this I'll end. If you like this video, please press like and please subscribe to our channel.